Hello everybody and welcome to yet another episode of The Week in Technology. We had a 1 week where we skipped the show, and that was because my co-host Aisha was on vacation in the US. Anyway, Aisha,
Australia.
How are you? Oh, Australia. Where did I say?
US.
US. Actually, what we do is normally we start off with this week's cover story that's coming out over the weekend, right? But because I was in Communic Asia from Sunday till yesterday, I came back late at night, so we didn't have time to finish our cover story, and which is actually now being put together. But it is about a Mestec company, M3 Technologies, Berhad. But before we go to that, maybe Aisha, you were fresh off the bat this morning. You spoke to somebody in the biotech space. What's that about?
Actually, this event happened. So I got an email for the event this morning. So I thought it was the only event that I was invited to. So I thought I'd drop by. Holista Biotech, which is a company headed by Dr. Rajan.
Yeah, he's one of our CEO laptop contributors.
Yeah,
too.
He's finished the toxicity data for Kacip Fatima.
Toxic. Okay.
That's a toxicity.
We're gonna have to edit that part out, I think. Toxicity.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's basically what they've done is that for the last 18 months they've collaborated with this institution in Jammu, India, to test whether Kacip Fatima is toxic to human.
Wait a minute, but we're already using it in so many of our...
See, that's the thing, but it's never been I guess fully tested.
Fully, wow.
And what they did was, and the thing is, what they've done differently is that they've released the data to the public. So you can go online to www.kacipfatima.net and you can download the data. Yeah, and the institution that they work with is also in collaboration with University of Mississippi, which has a tie with the US FDA. So every data that they generate is actually US FDA compliant. And Dr. Rajan actually says that he feels that it's important to put it in public domain because you don't want people reinventing the wheel,
and
the thing is, if you just when you see like Kacip Fatima and all these local herbs in the domestic market, it's okay if it's just you just want to sell it in Malaysia, but then if you want to go overseas, they want to look at this data. They want to know how useful is it? Is it safe? Is it safe? Is this thing safe? So basically, all this data is available.
So you're saying it's okay that if maybe it's not safe, right? If it's being consumed domestically.
I'm saying that
That's terrible.
it's not that. Okay, that wasn't my point. What I'm saying is that maybe industry players in Malaysia do not really emphasize on that fact so much, on the fact that and then these are very expensive tests. What they did is that they gave a lot of lab rats or mice 5,000 times the dosage that they would give to human. 5,000 times the dosage of what they would give a human, Kacip Fatima. And after 18 months of testing, and there's different levels of testing, different types of testing, basically everything's normal in the rats. They're fine. And even Dr. Rajan also went so far to say that he feels that Kacip Fatima is safer than water.
Wow.
Because if you give someone 5,000 amount the daily dosage of what human would take water, then you would have some complications.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. I know Ole Miss, right, is one of the leading US universities, right, when it comes to research in natural, products. So I can understand that. But why did he work with this Indian institute and not with one of the Malaysian universities, right?
I'm not so sure why, but I know that a lot of money was put into this. They got grants from Biotechcom and also MTDC. So I have a feeling that because of he said that it was a lot of money, so probably we do not have the kind of lab and the kind of testing facilities that they need.
That's pretty surprising. I mean, one thing we're good in is infrastructure, right? So we've got all the latest labs and equipment.
Yeah, it'll probably be a good question to ask him.
Yeah, on Saturday, right? The what conference?
Yes. There's a natural medicine.
Women, right? Women herbal.
I'm not so sure, but it's the what medicine?
Yeah, WHAT, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
Interesting. Wow, that's really surprising that there are no Malaysian universities, right? That have the level of equipment or even maybe knowledge.
I mean, like Tongkat Ali, these kind of testings have been done before, but it was never released to the public.
Okay.
So Holista Biotech is actually releasing it in the public domain.
Is this a scientific jargon, or it's something that you and me and our very able crew here can go online, read and understand?
I've only gone to I've only spent some time, a little time on the website.
Okay.
I haven't gone through the full research report yet, so I'm not so sure whether, but I assume that. Yeah, I mean, those who are interested in it would be able to understand it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's very interesting. Great. Okay, yeah, I think, Aisha, you promised you'd only talk for 30 seconds, so you've really taken into my
have
time
asked
a
me
lot.
all those questions. We'll go back to your Communic Asia.
Okay, yeah, I was in Communic Asia as a guest of Telekom Malaysia, and Datuk Zam, the CEO, Group CEO, presented. His topic was on Telco 2.0. It's quite interesting, but he's basically talking about the transformation of telecom. 2 years ago when they started their business transformation journey, and that was interesting. But it's a story that a lot of us know already. But what was interesting was that I ran into the editor for the group, managing editor for Mobile World, Kashminder Singh, and there was also a good local freelance journalist there, Edwin Yap, and they both felt that the exhibition wasn't that exciting, interesting this year, and especially from the mobile players' perspective, and also the conference itself they felt wasn't that good. Actually, Edwin Yap, who attended the conference,
wasn't much content.
Yeah, the business summit. No, the speakers were okay, but the content was not so good. And I spoke to one or two people who said also there's nothing new from the content, from the conference, because there's only so many ways you can cut and slice and dice, mobile advertising, right? And or location-based services, monetizing this, monetizing that. So it wasn't that interesting, and I'm thinking they should. And I went for the conference last year too, and I wasn't very impressed with it.
But what about broadband? You spoke about mobile. There was an interesting.
Yeah, broadband was interesting, but let me just share with you a snippet on the satellite. They had one vertical, one day's conference on satellite technology, and the interesting thing was this gentleman from this company out of the US. He says that when they started providing satellite services, they found that there was demand in areas already being served, by wireless broadband players and by fixed line players too. And that was amazing to me, and said that's why they found most of their demand. And there's not much demand in the rural areas. And the other thing he said that was interesting was that he said that they will only go somewhere where there's a certain amount of demand, from the population. So you could be living, in a rural area, and there's only 2 of you out there who want to connect to broadband because you want to speak to, your family somewhere or whatever. To them, the ROI doesn't justify it, and they won't roll it out. So that was quite striking for me, that you think satellite, right, that all the infrastructure is already set in, and you've already paid your billions, for the location transponders and all that, and, your operation center down on Earth, and you just hit a button and a beam, hits down to some location in, let's say, some remote location, let's say in Perak. Since I'm born in Perak, I can say that. And you'll service them, but apparently not. There must be a certain amount of ROI coming too. And as thinking about it, I was saying, okay, because you actually have to physically send a technician over, right, to install it. And then when you come back, you got to hope the equipment doesn't fail or the customer doesn't complain about something. Then you actually have to send somebody, way back into the, into the remote area to service them. So that's why they said, if there's no critical mass or their definition of certain amount of, subscribers, they will not service the area. That was interesting. And the other one was this forum organized, supported by the IDA of Singapore on Singapore's next generation national broadband network. It was just phenomenal. They're going to be wiring up the whole country by 2015, right? 2012. And 60% of the population will be covered by 2010, 95% by 2012. But nobody says, nobody was too impressed by that there, because they say Singapore is really a small location, you can do it. But I mean, credit to the Singaporeans for thinking way ahead. As the guy from, as this gentleman who I was very impressed with, Ricky Wong, who's the co-founder and chairman of City Telecom and Hong Kong Broadband Network. They also have a fiber to the home, broadband connection. He says that when you have fiber to the home, it's not about the speeds, it's really about liberating the mind of the population to say that, the possibilities of you are endless in terms of consuming content or even, creating content. But anyway, that's all we have for this week's show. We thank you guys for watching. Please, send in your comments as usual. And, we see the viewership is going up. That's the scary thing about YouTube. You're absolutely naked in terms of, who's watching, because you can see the numbers there. But, get your friends to watch too if you think it's interesting. And like I said, shoot us comments, feedback on how we can make the show better. All right. You guys have a great week ahead with technology, and we'll see you next week.